Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast with Dr. John O'Connor. Today's guest is the one and only LeGrand, Rutgers alum, motivational speaker, New Jersey grown. I know he likes to point that out. We got to keep our New Jersey athletes home, and as well as a businessman. And we're going to hear about his amazing story today. Eric, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me on, John.
Eric, I have to tell you, we've been working together, supporting the whiskey that you have, the bourbon, and it is absolutely an honor to have you on the show today. So I'm just going to put that out there first, and we'll get started and let the listeners hear about you. First of all, in October 2010, you obviously had a remarkable injury that was life-changing. Let's tell our audience, for some of the people that don't know about you, what happened on that day.
Yeah, October 16, 2010, playing for Rutgers University. We were going up against Army Black Knights. We were playing at MetLife Stadium. It had just opened up the year before, so it was a brand new stadium. We were in the fourth quarter of the game, 5 minutes left. We had just tied it up 17-17. It was a good game. And I remember running down the field on the kickoff saying I want to make a big play for my team to be able to get them in bad field position, get a 3-and-out, and get our offense the ball back to try to win the game. Well, on that particular kickoff, I was facing a double team, which two guys came to block me, and I was able to split them right away. I had about a 30, 40-yard head start now on Malcolm Brown as I'm running down to make this tackle. I said, how do I want to make it? Do I want to use my head or if I want to use my shoulder? Every football player knows if you're going to tackle with your head, you see what you hit. You keep your head up. Well, I thought I was going to use my shoulder on a play because it was going to be a big collision, but my teammate got down there a little bit before I did, and he dove at Malcolm's legs. And when Malcolm got tripped up, his body twirled in the air, and I put my head down. The crown of my head went right into his shoulder blades. He fractured his collarbone, and I fractured my C3, C4 vertebrae. And honestly, it was the scariest moment of my life.
Got it. And, whenever I bring guests on, I always like to research. One of the things that was amazing was how fast the athletic training staff got to you. Tell me about that. Tell me about Coach Ciano and the amount of time it got them to get you off to the ambulance and on the way to the trauma unit.
I don't think I would be where I am today without the training staff, Dave McCune and his staff. They got me off the field into the ambulance in 7 minutes.
Oh my God!
I wasn't able to breathe. I wasn't able to breathe on my own at the time, so they had to put an oxygen mask on me. They were able to stabilize my neck, put me onto the board. Thank God the ambulance was right there. Compared to a lot of people with spinal cord injuries, that don't happen when you're obviously on national TV. You got the ambulance right there. A lot of times you're out and about, and then you have to wait for everyone to get there. Well, with my injury, it was so significant. I don't know if I would have been able to last, much longer. But they were able to get me off that field. And I'll never forget Coach Ciano looking down at me saying, you have to pray right now. And I thought my life was over at that moment. But, thank God they got me off that field. I went to give that thumbs up to the crowd. Obviously, I could not do it at the time. And they put me into the ambulance, put another oxygen mask on me. And I don't remember much but bits and pieces until I finally started to come to on Wednesday. And this injury happened to me on a Saturday.
Oh, my God. And, your support group, I understand your mom is absolutely an amazing person. Tell me a little bit about Mom Dukes and how she supports you on a daily basis, because we had, right before the show, we had people here that were at the trauma unit, and they actually spoke very highly of her and everybody around the support unit. And one of the things I saw you mentioned was how many people that don't have the amazing support around them in these kind of situations. It's
incredible. Mama Dukes is a special woman. She's a tough woman. She's always been tough on me. I always say, I have a father in my life, but I was raised by my mother. She turned me into the man that I am today. And it was all from childhood, making sure I was doing the right things, always nagging on me until I did something. And now to this day, she does all the behind-the-scenes stuff, handling the insurance, handling the bills, all the stuff that I don't feel like doing, honestly. And she takes care of it. She brings me to speaking engagements, brings me to different events. She's all over the place, handling my medication, running the household. Without her, I wouldn't be where I am today. And when I got injured, I actually saw that when I was injured, and I saw how people who just didn't have that same support. I was fortunate. I had millions of people reaching out to me, wanting to, wish me well, do well. But after a while, a lot of times that fades away. My support system grew more and more, and my mom's at the spearhead of that, because all the behind-the-scenes stuff that people don't see, Mama Dukes is right there for that, and I wouldn't be who I am without her.
I love that. And, it's funny. One of the things that I love sharing when I started my podcast was I was, partially paralyzed as a kid, and, not to the severity that you were, but my mom was the rock during that whole time. And you don't realize until you're in it what that means to like, I couldn't put a glass down on a table, or my motor skills, anything on my left side wasn't working. I couldn't see out of my left side. And she would always joke around and be like, strong side.
Strong side, left side, strong side.
So
remember the Titans right there.
And, I got to tell you, it's something to see, because I was, again, on the research of learning more about you, to have you on the podcast today. Ed Milet really hit it when he said how special of a person you are. And one of the things that you bring to rehab, to the process, is that as an athlete, you didn't look at it as rehab. It was like going to practice. It was like going to work. And I think you noted, like, a 55-year-old woman or something like that had never had an injury before. And you're like, hey, this is practice. I'm just getting back to it,
That's kind of my mindset going into my rehab, to be honest with you, because I've been training my whole life for a sport, that I played only 10, 12 games, but you're literally working your ass off for 365 days of the year. And that's, in the weight room, in the training sessions, rehab, study, all that. So when my injury happened, it just kind of shifted from, obviously lifting weights and all that to now my rehabilitation, where that was going to help me get to where I needed to be, compared to someone who's never worked out before in their life.
Which is amazing. One of the big things, I think it was either Super Bowl party or something, and I was talking to a couple of my neurosurgeons. You had an amazing milestone. You had like an hour and a half that you weren't on oxygen or whatnot at a Super Bowl event. And I think it speaks, volumes about the person you are, that you were like, hey, no, I'm going to be okay. Like out of the gates, like that believe thing, which it's kind of like your creed, but tell the audience about that. Like, just the power of you, I think the faith, and I think it's probably grown obviously after this, because of the power of believing in something bigger than what we are.
Yeah. Well, I originally was told that I would never walk again, never breathe on my own, never eat solid foods, this and that. But when I got injured, I remember just having that stubborn attitude about my faith. Like, that's not going to be me. I have, God willing, a long life to live, that I wanted to be able to live it happy. I didn't want to be upset. And the first thing was trying to get off that ventilator, being able to breathe on my own. I'll never forget going to therapy. I used to bench 415 pounds. And then when I was at rehab, they put a balloon on my stomach and told me to breathe in and breathe out to lift the balloon off of my stomach. It put a lot of things in perspective for me as that workout came. But, you start at the bottom, you start working yourself. So 5 weeks after my injury, I was able to breathe on my own and started to eat solid foods again as well. So to see how that happened from the beginning to where I am now, it just made me say to myself, you know what? Don't ever put limits on yourself. Control what you control and leave everything else in God's hands.
Love it. This is fire today. What motivates you to be this amazing person with the positivity and just the faith that you have, and just, every word that comes out, it's just your spiritual being. It's just different. What is your daily routine, or just born this way? When did that start for you?
I definitely was born a very happy-go-lucky person. I don't like to let people down. I like to be the life of the party. I like smiling. But I've also seen some shit. I mean, I've seen some stuff that really breaks people down, that they just unfortunate situations. And I see all the things that I do have in my life, and all the blessings and the people, like my friends even bringing me around, to have them in my life, going on trips, doing this. And I'm like, what could I be mad about? Yes, I know I'm not up and walking like I want to be, but I have so much to live for. I started businesses, have foundations, have a great family, have great friends. Like, there's so much that I do have that I don't focus on those things that I don't have, because I was constantly reminded, especially in inpatient rehab, of all the things that people lost. And I wasn't losing, I was actually gaining.
You were gaining.
And it made me realize, you know what? I'm going to be thankful for the things I do have in my life, and I'm not going to really harp on the things I don't.
So tell me this. How have you evolved since 2010? I mean, obviously the coffee spot, the bourbon liquor company, the motivational speaking. What was that, just like, hey, I need to pivot because of the career, but like, what was it inside that kind of just shifted, that made you go into this mode that, like, you're not in the NFL, but to me, like, you're one of one. Like, you definitely you're an all-pro. What was that motivation?
I think it was the pandemic, because in my 20s, I'm not going to lie to you, John, I lived. Like, I traveled. I was hanging out at Miami, Vegas, having fun. Then the pandemic came. I was right around 30 now. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? I had the motivational speaking career, which was, still thriving for me. I had my foundation, and I also had a book at the time that came out in 2012. But what was next? what was next for me. And I just during the pandemic was saying like, so the world was at each other's throats. Everyone hated each other. How could I bring my motivation to people on a daily basis? People look to me for inspiration. I'm like, what can I do? And I thought about coffee. And I never had a cup of coffee in my life at the time. So I had a cup of coffee, tried it out. I was like, this is some good stuff. And I just took a leap of faith. I literally took that leap and said, I'm going to learn about this. I'm going to hire a business advisor, take the courses I need to do. I'm going to start my own business. I knew there was an opportunity in my downtown of Woodbridge to open up a coffee shop. And I said, I'm going full in on this. And I tell you what, that was in January of 2021 when we launched our online store. And our brick and mortar opened up May 14th of 2022. I'm still learning every day. But I'll tell you what, I'm having a blast doing it. And I'm able to, give opportunities for employment for other people.
Love
so we're
that.
bringing unity to the community with a daily cup of belief.
I like that. I read that and I was laughing that. I was like, that might be one of my first tattoos. As a motivational speaker, what was I'd asked you this when we were on a phone call a couple weeks ago. What was one of the most motivational speeches you've given? And again, commentator at Rutgers, now that they're playing with the big boys, and I know back when you were playing, they were actually doing some nice things too. As a motivational speaker, and it doesn't have to be a big crowd, because it just hits different. Think about one of those moments, whether it was I think you were with one of your family members, a niece or nephew, you got to speak or something like that, where you could just see the kids or the families or the people. Because I've been around you when people, especially Rutgers fans, they come and touch you like you're the Dalai Lama, man.
It's crazy. Yeah, obviously, I've had moments where I've spoken at the ESPYs, winning the Jimmy V Award and becoming the life of the party after that. All the celebrities coming up to me, which is awesome. It really took my story to the next level. But I said one of the most impactful ones was speaking in front of my nephew. Like, my nephew was 15 months old when I got hurt. I used to hold him and lift him up, mess around with him. Only diaper I've ever changed in my life was my oldest nephew. I have another nephew and a niece now, but he was my first, Xavier. And now he's a freshman in high school, and they had me come out to speak to his school. And to see him sitting front row in the crowd listening to my story for the first time, because, yes, he knows Uncle E, he knows me, my story, but he never got to hear me share it. It was just something special about having him sitting in the front row listening to it, and then inviting him on the stage, and they gave me a jersey afterwards, and him taking a picture of me holding the Montgomery jersey where he goes to high school.
Love that.
With my number on it. It touched me, man. That was special.
Now, I've heard a ton about your mom. I've heard a ton about Coach Schiano. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's been the most inspirational person in your life in the past 14 years that's really just made you say, I can do this, I need to do this, I need to be here, I'm on a mission, and I got to keep going?
I always say, obviously my mom is a big inspiration, but there used to be a Penn State football player, and obviously I hate Penn State now. But Adam Teleferro now he's killing it on the Penn State board in Congress. He's a South Jersey guy. He had a paralyzing injury as a freshman going up against Ohio State in the year 2000 or 2001, in one of his first games ever playing for Penn State. And they told him he would never do this, never do that. Well, I remember a few weeks into my injury, he came walking into my room with a little bit of limp and everything. You could see some of his fingers were stiff. But comes walking into my room. I didn't know him from Adam, from nothing. But he shared his story with me, and he put on a DVD of him walking out at Beaver Stadium with 100, plus thousand fans.
People.
Yeah, well, I think they were playing Miami that day. And he came out and led the team onto the field. And still to this day, that's
chills.
my biggest motivation, and I cannot wait. Yes, I got to lead my team out in my wheelchair before versus West Virginia in 2011, but I can't wait to the day where I can walk out of that stadium and be able to lead my team out. And that's my mission, my drive every single day.
I love that. So tell me this, everybody's got a daily routine. God knows for me, I'm like a 4:30, 4:45 guy. I get up, I got to get my body going. I got a lot of injuries. Tell our audience about your daily routine and what that looks like, and how Eric LeGrand gets going in the morning and the support that goes into that.
This is the real stuff that I talk about, people that don't see. You're up at 4:30. I'm not going to bed until 1:30. I get up usually around 7 or 8, between 7 and 8, and I have a nurse and an aide come in every single day. They have to get me up, change the catheter leg bag, get me into a shower chair, literally do a bowel program, wash me up, get me back into my bed, put my clothes on, and then put me in a wheelchair. And let's just say I'm not the smallest guy. So I got a Hoyer lifter in my room that lifts me and slides me across this like rack in the ceiling and gets me from room to room. And it's a 2 to 2.5 hour process every single day. And me, I deal with, a lot of stuff with my lungs. So I have to put on a chest vest every single day and every single night that shakes up my lungs just in case any phlegm from overnight, things like that. Just to make sure that I can get it up and cough it up.
I saw that when you were having the sleep apnea, right?
Exactly, with sleep apnea. See, people don't see that stuff. It takes me, like I said, about 2.5 hours every single day just to get in my chair. But okay, what's next?
I appreciate you. We'll see when you get to 50 and you have all these injuries from all the pro training you did. It's a different thing. It just takes me 2 hours just to get the body moving.
I get that. I mean, I'll be used to it when I get to 50.
So what? Tell me this. Of all your interests in business ventures, what's the one that really hits different for you that you really want to see that when people look back and, I mean, to be there with an SB, Jimmy V, whatever it is you've done, and you've just done so many amazing things, what is the one thing that you want to see be like your life's mission? That people look back and say, yo, you remember that guy? Just like you said with the guy from Penn State, accomplishment, what would that be for you?
I think the biggest part was when it came to my bourbon, when I was, reaching out to my business partner, Brian Axelrod, and we coming up with a bourbon and an idea. And he said to me, I'm putting your name on that bottle. It's not going to be like I was coming up with all these different concepts, different names. He goes, no. Look at the Jim Beams of the world, the Jack Daniels, the Elijah Craigs. One day when we're long gone, that bottle of bourbon is going to be able to say Eric LeGrand Kentucky Straight Bourbon, and it's going to be able to share your story to millions upon millions of people. One day, that is our goal. That is our mission. And when he said that to me, that hit. I'm like, you know what? After that, this bottle hopefully will live on way past any of our time here. And we can look back and somebody can share my story of all the things that I've done through a bottle of bourbon.
I love that. I know we were talking about nighttime and TV, but what's your all-time favorite hobby now, like right now in 2024?
Man, honestly, it's going out with the guys to eat. I love me. I'm a foodie,
we're going to eat tonight for sure.
Oh, yeah. Get me some steaks. Get ready to go. But, yes, I love going out with my friends, just catching up with the guys. We go out, have a great time, whether if it's a local bar or restaurant. I love my TV shows at night. That's my thing, how I wind down, whether I'm throwing on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, all that stuff. But, yeah, just being able to get together, with our friends, wives, girlfriends, everybody. Just being able to hang out and just enjoy each other's company and just share stories.
One of the things, obviously, when we're in this social media world, we're watching everybody that's growing and influencing. How is it? I mean, your support group and your friends. You got a friend here, a high school, middle school rivalry.
Al Grasso, the builder.
Yeah, I'm hearing you guys chop it up, and I have to say, it's funny. I grew up in that kind of Sandlot atmosphere, and how is it in the grind and daily grind of promoting LeGrand's? Here it is right here. Promoting this and out. How many nights a week are you out? And how's that feel? How's that energy?
It's kind of crazy because every week is different. For me. People always say, "What is your normal schedule?" I'm like, I don't have a normal schedule. One day I could be speaking here, the next night I'm at this event, the next day I'm at making a video shoot, or I'm at the coffee shop. Every week is different for me, and I love that. It's not the same thing every single day, but it's my support group, my friends, and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get my friends invested into the bourbon, into the coffee shop, because I want to be able to take care of them as well as we grow this together. Because like you said, they're bringing me to all these events. We're having good times, but just think, they're sacrificing times away from their families to bring me here. So I'm glad we're able to get them involved with this venture as well. And hopefully LeGrand Coffee House, LeGrand Bourbon, to the moon it goes. So one day I can help them take care of their families as well as I take care of mine.
I love that, right? So tell me this. How amazing is it to be a commentator for Rutgers football? And is that every weekend, every home game?
I mean, I haven't missed a Rutgers football game since 2000. Obviously, my injury that I started commentating in 2011. So I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's for sure. And I go to every home game. I haven't missed one home game since I guess my injury. And then on away games, I get to do the pregame, halftime, and postgame show from home. But it keeps me in tune with the program. It keeps me in the know of all the guys, to see, like I said, the development of the program, the growth of the program, the changing of coaches, and just the excitement on Saturday college football. There's nothing like that. When you wake up on a Saturday morning knowing that there's a game to go to, and I'm not playing anymore, but those chills still come when you put the headset on, you get ready to call the game. So it's fun. It's just fun.
It's funny when we were down in grad school. Rutgers is Rutgers, right? There's not another big football school in the state. When we were in Georgia, it was wild when SEC or ACC was playing that 200, 300,000 people would come rolling in pickup trucks to come watch football.
It's different. Down, I will say, Big Ten, we have a great atmosphere and stuff, but in the South, that's their life, man.
Yes,
especially the areas like Alabama, Mississippi, where they don't have any professional sports. Like, let's say we're in New York, New Jersey. How many professional sport teams do we have in this area? It's insane. Down there, there's nothing but, like they say, family, faith, and football.
That's it. Absolutely. So, quick shout out. It's funny. Just to touch on the amazing person that you are, my boy Timmy McDonald was here today. The one thing that I would tell you is never change. Because I have to tell you, when I texted you, and I want my audience to hear this, is that I texted you at like 6 o'clock. Hey, I'm here with my boy. He was at rehab with you. Okay? And you use a stylus with your mouth. And in 2 seconds, you hit that. Like I was talking to my little brother, like giving orders. I'm like, your boy was at rehab with you at the same time. You were like, done. And, we know each other. We know each other. We know each other like that. And I was like, and when I tell you they came today, and he has been, when we booked this, and since that day, he's literally been the happiest kid on his 30th birthday. And, to me, first off, thank you. Because you know how hard it is, because you saw those people there and you were like, hey, look, I have all my mental abilities, and the belief factor in you is special. It's like you're ordained. Like I look at it and I'm like, I've studied so much spiritual and motivational stuff in coaching and practicing healthcare. And when you get to meet unique, special people that it's ingrained in them, it's like seeing talent when like as a freshman, you got recruited by Rutgers and you were going there. I think your third game in your varsity season, right? And whether you're a recruiter or, a person that's been around and treated 20,000 people, I have to tell you, you're a special person. And thank you so much for being out there, because the world needs more people like you.
Absolutely. And that's why when I'm home and I'm on my phone, I get people say, how do you get back to me so fast? When I'm at home, I got my whole hookup where the phone's by my face, that stylus pen. I'll get back to you as fast as I can. When I'm out and about, I may not hear from me for a little bit, but I try to get back to people, some people that need help. And if it's just making a video, making a comment on the post, like that's easy. Send it out a text message for somebody. If I can help them, get through their tough day, what they're going through, that's what it's all about. Just show you put a smile on somebody else's
Let's
face.
talk a little bit about your foundation. First off, what foundation do you get behind?
Team LeGrand and the Christopher and Dana Reed Foundation. I've been working with them since the fall of 2013 when we started. But I learned about the Christopher and Dana Reed Foundation right after my injury. They reached out for support, whatever I needed, guidance on this injury. And I'm not going to lie to you, John, I didn't know who Christopher Reeve was at the time.
I remember that. I was thinking to myself, I'm thinking Superman. And you're asking your mom, I'm like, Moms, who's this?
I literally said, Mom, I was like, Mom, who's the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation? She goes, are you kidding me? And then I did my research. I'm like, oh, probably should know who that is. Just a Jersey guy. But I was born in 1990, so give me some credit.
Yeah, that was like in the 70s and 80s. Now, just to blow you up a little bit and celebrate you, how much money have you raised with your foundation thus far?
We've raised over $2 million so far for spinal cord injury research, and want to keep on getting closer to $3 million, and would I be able to just give people hope, knowing that someone in my platform is out there fighting for it. It's not all about me.
I see a golf outing coming from me for you this summer. We're going to run one.
And we were just, me and my friend Bronson were just talking about it. We were just literally talking about I've done a lot of events. And one thing I haven't done was a golf outing, so that might be next. And like I said, as long as I'm raising awareness and giving the people that are dealing with spinal cord injuries, there's 5.6 million Americans that are dealing with some sort of paralysis. If I give them that hope and belief that, one day we're going to find a cure for this thing, that's what I'm here to do.
I saw that. It was one of the things that I thought was pretty intriguing. And I'm a big believer. When I was going through some injuries going into COVID, I saw Ed Millett talking about stem cells, right? Mm-hmm. And I was researching everything when I was desperate because I was barely moving. And I really think that's going to be a breakthrough for people that have spinal cord injuries, that they're going to be able to do that and really repair these injuries and turn it to something that was terminal as far as movement, and really kind of turn that corner.
I mean, whatever, if it's epidural stimulation, stem cells, whatever it is, all of us in the paralysis community that's sitting in these wheelchairs, we're all for it. I know people are, have their different researches and they're putting their money towards this and that, but whatever's going to get us out of these chairs, that's what we're for.
I hear you. Eddie, that was one of the things that actually brought tears to my eyes, is that you want to have almost like a graveyard of chairs, right? Where
Yep.
like, you free people from their bondage of it.
Christopher Reeve's his quote was, "I want to have a world of empty wheelchairs." Unfortunately, he passed away in 2004, 2005, and his wife the year after. So I felt like that torch was now passed along to me, and
I love
it's
that.
my job to carry the goal to a world of empty wheelchairs.
What's the greatest piece of advice that you could offer to the world as somebody that's been through it? If you're going through a difficult time, the perspective you take on that and how to keep going and keep moving forward.
I always tell people, no matter what our situation may be, there's always someone that has it worse. No matter what it is, you could be, laying on your deathbed, and there could be somebody that's dying at that moment. As long as you have oxygen to breathe, you have an opportunity to make a difference. Yes, your physical capabilities can be taken away from you, your mental capabilities, but if you can try to live life every day with being appreciative for what you do have in your life and focus on those things, I promise you'll live a happy life. We're always so caught up in all the things we can't do and the things that we don't have. Well, when you live a life like me, that's literally you go from being on top of the world playing Division I football to everything physically being taken away from you. It's a big thing, the fact of trying to be dealing with that mentally. But I've overlooked that, and I've overcame that in ways where I can impact the world in a different way. And I try to tell people that just because something may be taken away from you doesn't mean that you can't pivot and find another way.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And I hope you guys are listening, because I have to tell you, the reality is that I think so many people look at it like the glass is half empty versus half full. Mm-hmm. And, it's one of the things I tell my son that's playing baseball down at IMG all the time. I'm like, one of the greatest compliments, and even like your story, I'm listening to it, and you're talking about Coach Shiano, and I didn't know what position you played, because when you first started talking, you're like, I was defensive tackle, I was running the ball, you were nose guard.
Played 4 different positions my freshman year. It was nuts.
And I was laughing at, and when I was kind of catching my son up about bringing you on the podcast, I said, son, that's a compliment. And I said, if they move you around the outfield, they move you around the lineup, that means they want you in it, and you're an asset. And I know at that one point you said, in one moment you were frustrated saying, wow, I don't know if I'm going to be playing football beyond this. Mm-hmm. But as a coach and professional basketball trainer for a quarter century, I would say, no, son, you don't realize you're that special that we can move you on either side of the ball, and you're bringing a positive an outcome to it. So
yeah, that was my meeting I actually had with Coach Shiano at the end of the year. I literally went up to him, I was like, Coach, you played me this position, this position. I'm like, what is the plan here? And he said, listen, do you think I would have put a freshman out there and find and trust for you to get the job done? You're going to learn that love is sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice the things you love, sacrifice the things you think are best for you, and put your trust in us. I wouldn't have put you out there if I didn't think you could learn each one of those positions to get the job done. And as an 18-year-old kid, I said that I was just like, yes, Coach, and that changed everything. You know what?
It's funny, and we're going to close on this. Tell me about your relationship with Coach Shiano, because I know you had said on multiple podcasts that he's not for everybody. But for you, he was your guy. Yeah. And I will tell you that there were a couple moments that I literally found myself wiping my eye, and he was relieving your mom on night duties, and then he was rushing off into the middle of the night going to chiropractic practice in the morning, in 2010. How's your relationship with him today, and how's it been these last 14 years?
It's crazy, because when he was recruiting me all the way back in 2005 to where today, it's funny. I went from seeing him as coach, taking young boys and molded us into men. And as you said, he was not for everybody. He used to walk down the hall. I used to be like, chest up, back tight. What's up, coach? Like when he comes in the room, that respect, that aura that he has. But he teaches you how to literally be the best you can be, whatever you're doing, and they demand excellence from you all the time. And not everybody can deal with that. People crack under pressure. But the ones that don't, you see the people that he's put into the world, the NFL players, the business leaders, it's pretty impressive. And now to look at him as my coach to now my friend, it's kind of crazy, to still call him obviously coach and everything, but I talk to him on a different level now than obviously when I was as a player. But I still say he took me in as a 18-year-old kid, 17 at the time, 17-year-old kid. And even after my injury, he kept his word. He told me he treats all his players like his kids. When he was recruiting me, and there was no better example of that when he was sitting by my bedside at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning after my injury to leave my mom to go get some sleep.
It's funny. When I had gotten sick and Coach K reached out to the house and called me, and I was paralyzed because I just got home from the hospital, and, I didn't have the pleasure of playing for him. But when I heard that story about Coach Shiano, I was like, if I had a son playing football or somebody to endorse, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Michael Rowe, that's very tight with the Rutgers program. I was like, that's my kind of coach, because there's many people that when you're damaged goods, they move you out. And when you got hurt, he dug in.
He really did. And just to see, like I said, drafted me to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when he was down there and had me down there 10 different times for 2 years that he was with them. Let me live out my NFL dream. Even though I never played it down, signed an NFL contract. He's just a special person. And like I said, all the players that play for him, it's not easy, but you will respect the hell out of him. And at the end of the day, when you get older, you're like, you know what? That man had a purpose, and he helped my life.
You know what? Guys, I'm going to leave it right there. I think today's podcast was all about belief, right? If you believe that you can do it and you keep going, the possibilities are endless. Faith grows with realizing that every day is an opportunity. You overcome and you keep going. And Eric LeGrand right here, my friend, an inspiration, the motivation that he brings to so many people, to stadiums, to everything he's done. I know you're a big wrestling guy. And I have to say, today was absolutely a blessing for me. I'm so grateful to be here. And Eric, I just want to say thank you. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors that helped this night happen, especially Cousins. We so look forward to coming here on a weekly basis. This restaurant is absolutely one of the best restaurants in the state. A huge thank you to Andrea and Industry Magazine, as well as Central Jersey Ferrari and Bentley, Garmani, as well as Velocity Wellness Institute. We couldn't have done this and put this event together without you guys. Again, thank you. Follow all of us on Instagram or any of our social handles. We look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Thank you so much.